Hello YouTube, this is Scott with Linux for today. I've got another distribution review I'm going to do here. And this one is on, excuse me, this one is on BellaOS. And I really kind of like what I see. And I'm not really a huge XFCE fan, but I'm going to try not to let that bias interfere with this review. The way it's laid out is pretty cool. I had to go through and install the VirtualBox guest editions and everything, which is not unusual. Let's see here. What I was going to show you here is this little dock down here is really kind of cool. I don't really recall seeing this before. It's called Plank, I assume. And one thing I thought was really kind of weird on this is that it has its own little icon over here taking up space on the dock when it could have very easily have been like a right-click kind of menu. And I'm sure this isn't aimed at BellaOS. I'm sure this is, the way Plank comes configured. But if you can get rid of that button, that would probably be pretty cool. It does kind of have for me, it kind of has a Mac OS feel to it. In fact, I think there's a wallpaper kind of like that in Mac OS, if I'm not mistaken. But it's got little LEDs underneath the icons of what's running. You also have Firefox here. You got XFCE terminal, which I already have running up here. And this is using this is based off of Ubuntu, by the way. This is using their 3.16 kernel. Let's see here, and the base installation after upgrades is running 4.9 gigs. And when I did the upgrades, this supposedly hasn't been out for very long, and there were several packages that needed to be upgraded after that. I really didn't pay too much of attention to the upgrades, so the upgrades themselves may have come directly from Ubuntu. Let's see here. Let's see what the sources list look like. It's probably straight all Ubuntu. This is supposedly heavily modified. I wish I could talk today. I beg to differ. This is Xbuntu 14.4.2 LTS, not Ubuntu, Xbuntu. My apologies. And it looks like, it's all running straight off of Ubuntu. Let's let's go ahead and su into root, and let's change directories into apt sources.d list.d. Let's see what we got here. Superboot, Docky. Yeah. Doesn't look like they're using any of their own repos, so this is definitely going to be a straight spin. Respin, as I like to call them. It is kind of cool that it's running very reasonable on the resources. Again, this is inside a VirtualBox. I gave it 4 gigs of RAM. It's using 836 megs currently. I think his font's a little big. I'm just nitpicking on that, though. Which is a good thing. If I start nitpicking on tiny little things like that in a distribution, and you are the author of said distribution, and you hear me nitpicking on these little things, that's actually a good thing. If there was something seriously wrong, then I wouldn't have to nitpick. So take that as a compliment to the Bella development teams. This is actually looking pretty good. I think there's a few places where it can use a little bit more spit and a little bit more polish, but this is a favorable review. So I think that font size can probably be knocked down. I understand that not everybody's got the same size monitor, so just take that with, like a little grain of salt or whatever. But if you drop this down to even like an 11, as you can tell, it still looks, like it takes up less real estate. Wonderful choice in fonts. Deja Vu happens to be my favorite. If you really wanted to put this down where I like it, it would probably screw everybody else up, because I like these tiny little fonts like this. So, but yeah, if the font sizes there were just like a little bit smaller, I would have felt more comfortable with that. So anyway, let's see, what else I was wanting to talk about. Oh, I know what there was. Over here in the applications, this menu feels kind of weird to me. I don't recall having a menu set up like this, but to be completely honest, I'm not used to having a top menu. I don't normally run top menus. I usually do the bottom menu only and no dock. So I'm just feeling a little disoriented on the desktop. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with this distribution. You've got things in places I'm not used to seeing things in places. We have Ubuntu Software Center here and here, and right next to it is the Synaptic Package Manager. Now, both of these packages, while there are differences between the two, one is more friendly than the other, they both do essentially the same thing. So I'm kind of wondering why both of them are on the dock. And then again, right here in the favorites. To me, that seems like it might be a little overkill. Perhaps maybe one on the dock, which if it depends on your target audience. If you're targeting for newer users, or more layperson type users, then you definitely want to put the Software Center down here, and then throw the Package Manager up here in the favorites, or leave it over in System where it belongs. Got some really good applications in here. Some of them I've never even heard of before, and I'm going to have to do some research now and find out exactly what they do and how they work and things like that. But that's the beauty of this, of being able to do this, is I get exposed to new stuff. I expose other people to new stuff, and it's just kind of like a trade. There was in here in multimedia, again, we have some more redundancy, like XF Burn and Brazario. And then we also have 2 movie players. And some people may like that. Some people may not. I mean, that's something to keep in mind. I personally do not. But at the same time, I also recognize the fact that if you put parole in here, people might complain that VLC is missing, and vice versa. So there in this screen here in the internet, chat or XChat, this IRC client has not been updated in like forever. It is completely abandoned. Nobody is updating this at all. So my suggestion would be to the developers to replace this package with HexChat, and that's HEXCHAT. It's based off of XChat. It works almost exactly the same way, but it's vastly improved, both on the inside and on the outside. It's been polished. It offers more colors. It offers more user settings, and it's far more popular. XChat is long dead, so in your next release, my advice as an experienced Linux user would be to replace this package with HexChat and just completely get away from this thing. We got Shotwell in here. Also looks like we got GIMP. It looks like is that Ocular? No, just straight document viewer. Okay, well, Ocular, I've seen Ocular use that same icon some other place, and that might be just because of the way the distribution I've seen it in laid it out. Got some games going on in here. A little education, accessories, Catfish, there you go. Terminal emulator. And this is XFCE's terminal, which is good. You're keeping everything in-house. It's kind of frustrating when you see a, for example, you see like a KDE distribution that's got GNOME applications all over, because that really kind of throws things off. And the reason why it throws things off is because if you run in KDE applications inside a GNOME desktop, you now have to load KDE and GNOME's libraries. So you're using up more RAM. So if you try to stick to one thing, you'll find that you're using less memory, which is exactly what this thing here is doing. So kudos for that. And I like this little arrow here. I don't know if that's everywhere. The description says this is a heavily modified XFCE. And so I don't know exactly what they modified. I'm not an XFCE expert. But the way things look, and it's looking like it's laid out really well. It's not using very much memory at all. And like I said, with just a few more adjustments, this would be really, really good. Really good. So anyway, that is my take on this. Actually, let's go through here before I say goodbye. And it looks like this is just regular stuff. Yeah. Now, the first time I opened this opened up like full screen, which was kind of weird. Kind of threw me off a little bit. But everything else just looks really, really nice. It's got OpenJDK installed. This wasn't very big as far as the ISO goes. It was only like 1.6 gigs, I believe. Yeah, I think it was like 1.6 gigs. It's a little bit bigger than some of the other spins, or some of the other distributions, I should say. Usually an average KDE distribution will run 1.3 to 1.7. And if I'm not mistaken, XFCE is supposed to be smaller and lighter weight. So that means they put in a bunch of other stuff that's in here, which they might be able to trim down a little bit. But again, this is really a nifty distribution. Here's our homepage. You guys have a beautiful homepage too, which will sell a lot too. And somewhere in here where it says, yeah, Bella means beautiful in Italian. I did not know that. But this looks really good too. So you guys are well on your way. Bella developers, if you watch this video, you guys are really on your way. This is looking really good. Anyway, if you like this video and you would like to see more like it, just make sure you click like and subscribe.